All right, everybody, time to talk about one of my favorites. I know it's not everybody's, it's unfortunate because it really should be, and that is Battle Angel Alita, an outstanding adaptation of a Japanese manga that did not get the accolades that it deserved. But a a little bit of news, a little mic drop here has got me so excited because there might be some movement on a sequel. Regrettably, I would be amiss if I didn't do a quick recap before we dove into it. For those of you who unfortunately haven't seen the film, you are totally missing out. Uh, Basically, in a nutshell, James Cameron, of all people, was attached to an adaptation for many years, and it just never came to fruition. Various reasons. Obviously, James Cameron's a busy man. There might have been some questions about technology, certainly budgets, et cetera, et cetera. And so eventually, he turned it over. He gave the blessing to Robert Rodriguez, of all people, to make the film. And finally, the tech had come up. They did have a sizable budget. Some say, just shy of $200 million. And the movie itself was a masterpiece. Incredible story, incredible characters. They followed the manga pretty faithfully, but at least had the core concepts similar. Again, like most things, it's nothing spectacularly new, but that doesn't matter. There really isn't anything new. It's how well you do it. So it did it insanely well. Acting was top notch, directing top notch, the whole 9 yards. So then you go, okay, well, why didn't it make, buku bucks? Believe it or not, it's going to sound bizarre. And maybe in today's world, it's even more on the forefront. In some ways, maybe it would be more of a problem. And granted, this wasn't that long ago, so it was just a few years ago. Robert Rodriguez made the creative decision to have the star, Ms. Salazar, throughout the entire film, have eyes, that were digitally manipulated to be somewhat closer to Japanese manga eyes, so that they were very big. I mean, he didn't go overboard. Obviously you can watch a lot of manga where the eyes are this big on the face. But it was clear, it was evident that they were not just Rosa Salazar's eyes. And that really bothered people. It was a big deal. It wasn't that it looked bad, but, people are uncomfortable with change. People are uncomfortable with something new and daring and different. And that's really what that was. And believe it or not, I know it sounds horrible, but there was a big stink about that. It also didn't fit sort of the mold of the time. Like I said, the characters were very well rounded. They struggled. Alita was not a Mary Sue. She got her ass kicked. She lost an entire body, And to further kind of complicate things, I guess, again, when you're dealing with huge blockbuster movies, there's definitely expectations from the crowds. And the movie ended on what I guess would be defined as non-ending. That is to say that Alita had, achieved her goals. She was now at top of the motorsport, and the next thing would be to go up to, the city in the sky. But they just ended it without her actually getting up there. So she, it's that thing that Hollywood occasionally is doing, and I see it more and more. They either assume or operate on the idea there'll be a sequel, and so they try to set it up with the first movie, and you can't do that because you can't guarantee that the first movie is going to make money, and you can't guarantee that the people are going to be tolerant and expectant of that. Once your franchise is in place, sure, but the first one really has to either be standalone or appear to be standalone with enough unanswered questions that warrants a sequel, but isn't something like this film where it's very blatant that we are ending this film in ostensibly the middle or the first third of a very, very large story, and that just didn't jive and just didn't gel well with film with the average audiences. But saying all of that, if you just watch the movie, it is an unmitigated pleasure and a blast. And so I was dying for a sequel. Pretty much figured it was dead in the water. Basically, in a nutshell, it's even mentioned in what we're going to look at. The film made, $400 some odd million, which sounds great, except of course with a budget of $2 million, at best that broke even. Hollywood doesn't like breaking even. Well, hey, no business does. They want to make money. So it was pretty much dead in the water for a sequel until now. All right, so the article in question has the great title, New Alita 2 Update is the most exciting one yet. I have to agree. They start out with a little recap, which I just gave you, so I won't bore you with it. And then they basically said that at the premiere of Avatar 2, the producer of the film, who also produced Alita Battle Angel, Jon Landau, unprompted, in a way, dropped a pretty big bomb. So basically, some, interviewer had a softball question. Oh, what's, with how awesome Avatar 2 is, which is just, it's awesome no matter what, how reporters are. What is the next project or what other projects are you and James Cameron looking at or working on, And so Landau just casually drops, well, there's a little film called Alita Battle Angel that we'd love to circle back and do a sequel to. Been talking to Robert Rodriguez about that, and hopefully that comes to fruition. Okay, so it's pretty easy to dismiss that and say, hey, it's kind of just a non-committal in every sense of the word, and I'd be hard-pressed to disagree with that. However, this is Hollywood. Very few things are not said without a publicist previewing them first. And above and beyond that, taken at face value, it does present some further evidence that goodness could be on the horizon. Okay, so the first ray of hope, obviously, is that this is the first answer out of the gate for him. This was not, I got to think about this, I'm working on different things, blah, blah, blah. It was like, hey, this is on our radar. This is on our horizon, B, he said they have already been talking to Robert Rodriguez, or at least had preliminary discussions. Again, operating on the idea that nothing is really said without, a publicist running through them. I have every reason to believe that, yeah, they've reached out. Robert Rodriguez has expressed in the past a desire to do more. The star, Rosa Salazar, has indicated that she would love, at the drop of a hat, so as the rest of the cast. Really, it's a special film. It's a special project. And he even threw in the word love. We'd love to circle back. It was Cameron's pet project for a very long time. And I imagine that he might be eager to get back into it, after spending a decade of his life bumping out, Avatar movies. I don't know. But the big deal is this. It's how Hollywood works. And it's the dumbest thing in the world, and it's been going on for 50 years, and it doesn't look like it's ending anytime soon. And it's this simple. If you make money for a studio, they will give you a ridiculous amount of money to do what you want, thinking, almost always incorrectly, that you will be able to strike lightning twice. So, Landau's the producer of Avatar 2. It isn't guaranteed, don't get me wrong, because we're in a whole different world with movie theaters now. But I would say it is a safer bet on the yes than the no side that Avatar is going to make a truckload of money. A truckload. And when that happens, the studio executives are going to come crawling. Landau, you just made, $1.5 billion with Avatar. Here's our money. What do you want to do? We don't care what it is. We will rubber stamp. I mean, they have been rubber stamping director projects since Freaks with Todd Browning. And probably even before that, that's the first one I know about. If you don't know that story, you don't know those dates, look it up. It's awesome. The point being is if he and Cameron genuinely and Rodriguez and the whole staff genuinely have an interest in this film, doing this film, and an Avatar makes a truckload of money, he will have no problem finding a studio that will cough up two and a half or $250 million to make this sequel. So that's why this is the most promising word that we have had on a sequel for Battle Angel Alita in forever, since the film came out. So I have got my fingers, my toes, my tail, everything I got is crossed that this goes through because I desperately, desperately need to see a second Battle Angel Alita film.